In trying to build that institution,
Yes.
I'd like us to go back to what our first guest
Right,
said.
right.
He tried to paint a picture of what obtains in the banking world or the financial world. He says that in the banking industry we have bankers and we have bank workers. So in his own definition, he tried to look at those who are core professionals as the bankers and those who are not professionals as bank workers. Now, you say there are some who are outside of those industry, maybe those who are yet to get jobs and the like. So can you try to link this and say, perhaps we have those who are supposed to be professionals outside the industry to the extent that we have a lack in proper professional conduct in the discharge of the job?
Yeah, I want to agree to an extent, because if you recruit somebody that read biology, for example, and you now put him to do core banking, even though he has some basic training in the course of training schools, he may not really do it as good as what the typical banking person would have done. And that's why your first guest guy talked about the need to train. That's why CBN. I was surprised when we were talking about CBN taking the role of
that's
CBN.
what they're suggesting.
I mean, we're going to talk. I hope we're going to talk on that.
Of course, that's why we're linking it there now.
CBN is an employer's is a body. It's like FAN, Finance Houses Association of Nigeria. And I hope you have not forgotten that CBN is not only for bankers. CBN takes care of bank and other financial services. There are so many other financial institutions under CBN. The bank is just one section. But most time when we discuss in this country, we just look at the bank and forget the other. And that's why we are always talking about harmonizing. That's why the economy seem to be moving together, because we're all having a common goal. SME is not doing well in this country because of this dichotomy, because people just go on banking, and forget the other financial institutions. So what I'm saying, therefore, is that why CIBN was set up to encourage, to train and give remedial training so that people can now get the basic things. We have seen some people who grew to be MD in this country who read biology and whatever. But at the end, there are some pitfalls on some of those things. They could be good marketers, but in terms of taking some far-reaching decisions, we have issues that have bordered on the man using his power wrongly and making some wrong decisions. So those are the issues. So I want to say that the difference between the real thing and what was just trying to meet up within a short time to become the professional person.
So you don't think the CIBN can play that supervisory role?
I don't think at all, because CIBN is just for bankers, like I said earlier on. They're not just, they're not.
And CBN is
CBN
not just
is for
bankers.
all. It's for all of us. We have the discount houses, we have the mortgage institution, finance houses are there. CBN is even working strongly on restructuring finance houses. All those are under other financial services, and they also carry out a routine examination like they do for banks. So why would you want CIBN now to take control of it? It doesn't.
I'm also trying to look at the professional competence of some individuals who handle some positions. For instance, in the National Assembly, it is thought that those who are there representing the people should have one form of knowledge or the other before you become a chairman of a particular sector, so that you can have a fair knowledge of what exactly is happening. Because if what you just highlighted, and some other professionals are also talking about the CIBN as not being competent enough to handle the monetary policy of what the CBN is already doing. What do we make out of it if we have a chairman, House Committee, looking at that sector, and he does not know that, what he is about to do or propose or sell before his other members?
You have just supported my earlier stand on human resource development. The major challenge facing this country.
Clocking in and clocking out.
Yeah?
And by extension, clocking in and clocking out.
You're right. So the man who is in the House of Rep, who got there by election, maybe has maybe a degree somewhere, or some of them don't even have. And you meet him, maybe because he had a little stint in the banking sector among their group, you now meet him chairman of the bank supervisory committee, whatever. And he goes on within those power and polluting the whole environment, doing what is not even. But see, that's why I say the beauty of it is at the end of the day, if we do our job well, we can pick that guy up in the course of discussion when they produce those things and make nonsense of him. And people, his mate will not say that's not a fit and proper place to be there. So what I'm saying is for us to be alive to our duties and not to just sit down and loaf and wait for whatever they give bringing and you swallow it. So that equally affects the composition of those people because they get there by election. Most president bank can or even may not even go for election.
Would it be a good idea if CBN governor was chosen by election?
I think if you follow the rules of the KAMA, like I said earlier on, except that's why I say when you are doing restructuring, you must look at the underlying law that set up that body. If CBN is not operating within the ambit of KAMA, then you don't appoint, for the MD of limited liability company, you don't just pick it from anywhere. The board will meet, they will call for application for so many people, and interview, and then bring out somebody based on merit, who will be given a mandate to deliver a company to a certain level, given a certain period of time. And that encourages discipline. And he also knows he has a mandate of the board to achieve. Every year he draws a budget around those mandates or even try to surpass it. And he produces an account that shows that he's working in line with that. The board meets regularly to review that, yes, we employed you, we gave you this thing to do. You gave us, we're going to do this. We also gave you everything you needed to do this job. Now, give us a result. So he gives quarterly report showing that he's working along with that. And at the end of the day, they're able to say, oh, whether this guy is a fit and proper person, he remains. And the company grows. And it grows and eventually gets quoted and all those stuff. That's how companies are made. I think the problem here, we are mixing up issue of private institution, corporate thing, and looking at this vis-a-vis a government thing. CBN, by nature, is operating within that ambit of a limited liability company. They have a board, they have a chairman or a board constituted by the president and also approved by the House of Rep or Senate, and they also go discharging their duties. But maybe one of the issues here, they are stake in that company because they are Nigerian. Some of them, unlike where you have limited liability company where you have a stake in terms of shareholding, you want to ensure that you need to achieve this and you make your MD to work towards achieving that goal. Those are the checks and balances and transparencies we find in a limited liability setting, which
yes.
I think is trying to tinker with. You don't want to know what to do to make sure.
I want us to touch on the SMEs before we wrap this up, which you're very passionate about. How well have we fared in that regard when it comes to supervising the happenings in that sector? How important is it to us as a people? Is the CBN really in charge?
Thank you. I'm very happy you brought that issue of SME because SME is the engine of growth of any economy all over the world. I was very impressed by a recent presentation by KPMG to CBN. I was in that forum where they did a survey around the world on finance companies and came up with a report that shows that this sector has not grown because finance companies have been left alone in this country. Because they are the one nearest to the SME. You know what I'm saying? They are closer to the SME. They are the one who understand their operation, who understand their problem, who can structure our deals to meet what they will do. But that has been missing for so long in this country. And I'm impressed that the CBN is taking a bold step to address that by coming up with restructuring of finance companies with a view to taking up their role. We found to our amazement that India, that's a big economy, SME is thriving very well there because finance companies are about 12,000 finance companies.
12,000?
Yeah.
How many do we have here?
Not about 50.
50?
Yeah, 55 was there about. Well, I mean, a country of about 150 million. Wow.